Good morning, folks. It's Lindsey Huddleston back in the building. Another SPS Monday Motivation. Hope you guys are doing okay. I'm doing great. Had a wonderful weekend. Shout out to the SPS Road to Ford Field Game of the Week. It was East Lansing hosting Waverly, sponsored by Goodfellas. Shout out to my guy, Adrian W. Joseph. We went down there after 10 p.m. after East Lansing was successful. Had a good time over at Goodfellas. We got some nice time over there. We went live and did some podcast interviews, some great people. Shout out to King Tone, who's leaving East Lansing to go to LA to take his DJing skills out there. Shout out to Devin Smith, outstanding MMA wrestler, was part of UFC, just signed a big fight deal. It was a great time, and I'm grateful for the experience. And now we got another new week to look forward to, and some great things happening. You guys may know Friday, be back at home in Detroit for the game against King versus Cass Tech for the Detroit Public Schools Community District City Championship over at Wayne State. And who do we have right here? Let me see. It's my mother, first at it. You know what? You was on to something, mother. I got a little secret. You were one of the focal points of today's Monday Motivation, mother. That's right. Today's Monday Motivation is effort and enthusiasm. Effort and enthusiasm. I see Frank Jackson the fourth. What's up, good brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you, good brother. Good to see you. Indeed, we'll be talking about Western Michigan University really soon. Homecoming coming up this coming weekend. I got some more announcements. Frank, you can appreciate that. I know how you allow the good spirit to work through you. We're talking about effort and enthusiasm. And Mother, I'm glad you kind of touched on and came in this morning because I want to comment on a observation you made over the past few weeks. And that observation was when said teams were entering, during the SPS game of the week, I try to get both teams during their entrance one way or the other. My mother was referring to the Grand Ledge versus DeWitt. DeWitt being a state championship team. They were in the state championship last year in the finals against King, who won. And then the year before that, they won. And they went up against the Grand Ledge team on senior night. And as the guys from Grand Ledge were coming in, they ran in with so much enthusiasm on the senior night. You can go back on my Facebook. You can see that. But DeWitt, they came in side by side, and they walked in. Mother said, ooh, they're not even looking like they're ready to play. It was a dogfight. They end up losing by one touchdown, that being DeWitt, that is. Then go on to the other night, East Lansing versus Waverly. On both the intros, you got Coach Bill Faraka, who I always enjoy talking to before game and post game, is getting his guys going, and they run onto the field. Then the Waverly team kind of walked in. So my mom's, you're batting 2 for 2 right now. What you didn't call, like the team that walked on the field ends up walking off with a loss. But what I want to talk to you guys about is effort and enthusiasm. Effort and enthusiasm. I don't want them to be confused. Effort, what do we define effort as? A force exerted by a machine or in a process. I like that process form because you're talking about effort. It's like, okay, let me go out here and get this done. Left foot, right foot, back and forth, back and forth. It's a process. You got to put the effort in. You got to go do it. You got to get it done. I understand that. I get it. That's what effort is. But then let's talk about enthusiasm, right? Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is defined as expressing our spirit, both individually and collectively. So it's not just the effort, left, right, just going to do it. It's the emotion that comes with it. It's the expression. Here's a good way to put it. I came up with this one. How about this? Effort is like paying the bill, and enthusiasm is the tip. Stay with me now. Effort is paying the bill. You got to pay the bill. But you went out to a great restaurant, had a great meal, had great service. I love having great service. I learned this from you, Mother. When I have great service, I call the manager. I don't just call the manager because something bad. I call the manager. They normally come over and they're nervous. I learned this from my mother. They're nervous. Like, what's the problem? I said, hey, she was great. Hey, he was great. Hey, the meal was great. So the effort is paying the bill, which is a given, but the enthusiasm is the tip, because in most cases, the tip can be a greater reflection of how you feel. You follow what I'm saying? Tino, see you Friday. Good morning, Lindsey. Effort and enthusiasm. Good topic. Tino, my guy, traveling everywhere, always around. I appreciate you, brother, and I will definitely see you Friday. I know you're going to be in the stands. Man, covers every high school game in the Metro Detroit area throughout the state. He's there. Tino, I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you, man. We'll get up when I see you then. But I'm talking about this effort and motivation, this effort and enthusiasm, because I think it's important. I think it's important that we learn how to recognize the difference between the two and go from there. Here's a perfect example. East Lansing head coach Bill Faraka said it starts in practice after the win over Waverly. I talked to him post-game Coach Farraco, and he was talking about where that effort and that enthusiasm comes from. He said, "Hey, man, it starts in practice, and he had mentioned that in his post-game comments, Also, Ethan Boyd, shout out to Ethan Boyd, shout out to his mom, Sherry Boyd, shout out to his brother, Evan Boyd, and all the East Lansing family. Ethan, I got to talk to him. Evan. I talked to Evan after the game. Ethan is already at Michigan State. So I talked to Evan, and he talked about how to injure East Lansing players and how they were and how they all had to step up. These guys that got injured, so they all had to step up to be able to help their teammates going forward. And it said that was really important, Also, too, let's go over to Grand Ledge versus DeWitt. I talked to Sean Foster, who had an amazing game, 396 yards. He had 7 touchdowns. Mind you, they only won by 1 touchdown. He talked about it being senior night and how motivated he was because it was senior night and everything that was going on. It was a great time indeed, and how he was just motivated to be there with his guys. And Coach Breyer, Joe Breyer, said the same thing. He talked about how enthusiastic his guys had been in practice leading up to those things. So I get that. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is it's all about not just the effort and what you do, but it's the enthusiasm and how you feel about it going forward. I think that's really, really important. What do we have right here? So hello. I love your analogy on effort versus enthusiasm. That's a LinkedIn user. I can't say who it is. The name is not coming up, but I appreciate that. You like that? Is that the effort is the bill, enthusiasm is the tip? If that's what it is, I'm glad you like that. But speak to that. All these things speak to enthusiasm. It's hard because we can get up like Fred Flintstone back in the day, George Jetson, if I'm dating myself, you remember how they just got up and went to their jobs. Boom, 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 boom. But the enthusiasm is having a feeling about it. So we can get up on the Monday morning and go to work, but it's hard to be enthusiastic about what's going on. So let's talk about that. Genuine enthusiasm, expression of your true self. Now, your true self probably can't get expressed if you go into your job and you tell them how you really feel about things, but I'm just talking about other things. And then we have this attitude of faking enthusiasm to please others. That could be a perilous trap because you fake this enthusiasm, you lose yourself, and you end up kind of embracing something that can be toxic, that can be negative. That's just not really who you are. So in order to embrace enthusiasm, genuine enthusiasm, here's some things that I got from Psychology Today that I think are really helpful. Here are a few ideas, some tips. Here you go. One is acknowledge what your emotions are trying to tell you, for they are very important signals of what you may need to address. When I talk to my sports psychology clients, one of the things we talk about is, how do you feel and letting those emotions pass through? In many cases, we may be dealing with a negative emotion. We try to physically put our hands up like we can stop an emotion from passing through, or we can stop that. And we find ourselves thinking over it, going over. But what you can do is let that emotion pass through and recognize that. Man, I'm feeling down because I was bothered by what they said to me during the meeting. So what am I going to do about that? They said I need to work on this. I need to work on that. But then that comment they made was totally out of order, so I need to address that. So acknowledge those feelings, right? Also, even if you don't feel passionate about your life or work, look for positives. Look for the 1 or 2, 10 things that you got going on well in your life. A lot of times we'll be so worried about one thing that we're not happy with. But we won't take a step back and look and say, man, it's lights, camera, action over here. I'm warm. I got my family. Everybody's healthy. I'm good to go. I'm going to leave out of here in a minute and go to Goodfellas Bagel. This is not just an advertisement. I'm going over there to Goodfellas to get me that Hitman with Parmesan. I can feed myself. I can feed my family. It's all these things. And I guarantee you, if you compare the list of what's going good and what's going bad, you're going to have a whole lot more good on that list. Patricia England says, just like how you do this Monday motivation with ease. Oh, I appreciate that, mother. Got to get it from my mama. That's what she said. Oh, Crystal Sanford Brown. Hey, Crystal, how are you? That's right. Michigan's Children Governing Board. I appreciate your information didn't come up. Thank you for that. And thank you for all the support you're doing with Michigan's Children. That great group, indeed. Looking forward to being with those guys later on today. So with that, also, too, a few more things I wanted to touch on for you guys, too, when we talk about trying to figure this out as well. Also, sometimes you got to seek more alignment with what interests and inspires you. That's very important. Bring more of this into your life. Choose work or focus on parts of your job that are more closely aligned with the true nature. Now, giving all respect to employers, I learned a long time ago, it's their money, it's their agenda. But if you can get with an organization like Michigan's Children, I'm happy to be a part of that agenda of helping these young people, helping individuals who are battling the remnants of foster care, being able to look at the legislative process, how they can help. These are more in line with who I am. So I'm in a space where I can do things that's more in line with who I am. I think we have to look at that sometimes. You have to find something. And we all know what SPS does for me. I'm so happy and at peace with what's happening, the work that I'm able to do, and the great things I'm able to announce. Grand Ledge is a well-coached school. You're absolutely right, Coach OBrien. Indeed, man. So it was a good deal with that, Frank. Also, too, a few more things to add. This is very important. Choose exercise, movement, and music to elevate your mood. We all see the athletes before the pregame. Listen to that new Gigi drops on the 21st. I'm going to be all over that next week. That's my guy right there. But exercise, getting up and moving. My mother gets up and moves around. She gets bundled up when she needs to and walks around the track. And, you got to move. You can't sit there and sulk. You're not going to have no enthusiasm sitting still. Not gonna have no enthusiasm just sitting there sulking, going these things over and over. And maybe you need the music to get you going. But also, too, I'll leave this one to be the last one. Find people who understand and support you, and importantly, in turn, you support them. Enthusiasm is contagious. Spread it to the people around you. Spread it to the people around you. Yeah, man, sometimes you got to look at your circle and say, you know what? This is not really working. Let me make a move. At the age I am right now, the age you are right now, you don't have to be anywhere you don't want to be. I'm not worried about what people may say or how they may feel. If you're not feeling it, if it's bad for you, if it feels toxic, it doesn't feel right, make a move on it. You don't got to be there. And that being, I see a familiar name. Shout out to Maureen Stapleton. Hey, Mo. I think that's right. Staying close to those things you care about and help someone stay enthusiastic. You're right, Mo, and I want to stay with you on that. I'm so happy to see you. That's my NPLP buddy from back in the day, but always been a good friend, a wise counselor. She said, if you can't take it to the White House and your mama house, you can't deal with it. I remember, Mo. I remember, right? But let's stay with that, Maureen, right on time. I want to read that again. I think that's right. Staying close to those things you care about. See, the problem we have as adults is that we lock ourselves into something and we're afraid to move on because we're worried about shifting things. I watched a documentary on Dick Gregory, amazing documentary. You should watch it. And he said that if you don't have that agitator inside of the washing machine, the agitator is that one piece right there that helps make everything happen. So if you don't put the agitator inside there, all you're going to have is wet, dirty drawers. I hate to be so crude with the language, but that's what he said. Meaning you have to shake it up. You got to make things happen. Enthusiasm kills negativity is what Frank says. I agree. Maureen says, yes, she remembers all that. So what I want to say to you guys right now, I knew that I was going to say this in my comment. You see the SPS over my shoulder right there? I've created a brand that's 5+ years in the making. I'm very fulfilled with it. I have a lot of goals, still things that I'm working on, but I've been able to bring something that allows me to have enthusiasm. I want you guys to have that same feeling too, whether it's the brand you create, whether it's the trips that you take, whether it's the hobbies that you have, whatever it may be. You should be able to have not only the effort that we've been taught since we've been children, but the enthusiasm to go after and get it every day. Now, you want to talk about enthusiasm? Okay, here's some enthusiasm for you, right? Better yet, does she look enthusiastic? Are you living like this little girl right here? Are you feeling that way about something inside? That's the way I feel about SPS, but I had to work to get there. I'm not telling you you can skip steps, but I'm telling you that along with the effort, there has to be some enthusiasm. Along with paying the bill, what's that tip looking like? Because they don't remember you and treat you good because you paid the bill. That's a given. That's the effort. We got to get up and go to work. We got to get up and do X, Y, Z. But the enthusiasm comes with the tip. What extra are you putting on it? What are you pulling from? And I really think that we all have the ability to do it. We got to think about it. I have some amazing people on my timeline today who just checked in. I really appreciate it. All of you are making impacts in the world in some way or another that really makes somebody's day that without you is not going to happen the right way. So with that, keep that in mind. Make that effort, but keep that enthusiasm going. I want you guys to be motivated and keep things going. We got a great week ahead, some great things happening. Again, shout out to Larry Moore as well as North Brothers. Ford for sponsoring the city championship coming up this Friday, Cass Tech versus King over at Wayne State. Shout out to Detroit Public Schools Community District, particularly Jay and Anika making it happen over there. Looking forward to being down there having a good time. So with that being said, guys, just keep going. Have the effort, but you got to have that enthusiasm. Got to put a little enthusiasm on there. And if you got to step away and find you some music to get motivated with, go take a walk, do whatever you got to do. But life is too short not to live it like that. So with that being said, I want you to have a great day. I want you to have a great week. I want you to have a great month and have a great year. Knocking on the door 2023, but it's going to be good for all of us because we made it through 2020. We're here now with other great things that happen. So with that, I'm at the 15-minute mark. I'm going to say peace to you. Number love. Take care.